Well, I'm continuing my talk on the Pauline prayer, where Paul prays for three things for the church, not 20, but he prayed for three things, but these are probably three things that are really components of one thing, and that is God's glory, that God could be revealed. And he prays that these three things be revealed to your inner person so that God can be revealed in all of his glory. At one point, every knee is going to bow because when we are all in the presence of his unrestrained power, the only thing we can do is fall down. But with exception, that raw power is being hidden today, and his glory is being revealed in subtle ways. And it was revealed when Jesus was raised from the dead. So who witnessed his power? Who saw him come out of the tomb? Who knows how that happened? Well, no one, because no one was there. Some saw the after effect. There were a few ladies who weren't officially called, but loved Jesus so much and wanted to be with him, and it didn't matter if he was dead, so they thought. And then there were the dunderheads who still thought it was all about them and God making right the wrong in the political affairs of Israel. But besides these, who knew? So Paul prayed that your heart be open to these three things so that God's purpose might be accomplished, his glory might be revealed, and his kingdom would come. And he prayed first that you might know what's in it for you. That's the hope of his calling. What are you going to become? And then that you might know what's in it for him, the riches of his inheritance. For all of his effort, what was he going to get out of it? And then three, how to achieve this. We need to know these things. That's why Paul prayed. And it has to be a spirit revelation, which means that you, along with Paul, along with the Spirit, need to cry out to God, for this spirit of wisdom and revelation, and have our hearts opened to the awareness of these three things. So again, the hope he's called you to is your future you. God pulled you out of the junkyard, and his intent is a restored 57 Chevy that when it drives down the road, heads turn. And this process is called sanctification, and the end result is a redeemed you, which is largely achieved in your lifetime. There's a verse which should scare both of us, all of us, into a more intentional sense about the gospel and about being the first to the tomb, as those ladies were. Isn't it interesting that the women went to the tomb expecting to find a dead body that smells? Too often we choose to seek for God where there's a lot of action and signs of life, but sometimes that could just be smoke and mirrors. But this verse that I mentioned is, in your patience possess your soul. Could your reward when you stand before him be what you have done with your soul? Son, daughter, this is the house you made for me while you were on earth, and now it's yours. Enjoy. Are the many mansions that Jesus is preparing in heaven really the rooms in your heart? Well, it might be. But the hope of his calling, what is he calling you to? What is your future you? Do you know? Well, God prays that you do know that. And then, what are the riches of his inheritance in the saints? Whatever Jesus is to inherit, he has hidden in you. Paul, in his prayer, assumes that you don't know what it is. That's why he prays. So what is in it for Jesus? Why did he come to save a wretch like you? Well, first, he saw a bride. Someone who takes his breath away. He saw your future you and likes what he sees. He actually likes what he sees now. But more than that, he came to create a bride out of many yous, a group of disparate people from many cultures, many tribes, many tongues, and make them one in heart and soul. He came to unite all the relationships that were severed in the fall. And practically speaking, those relationships are you with God, you with yourself. Do you know that you might still have issues with yourself? You with others, without a doubt, and you with your circumstances. So do you see why God needs to show you what the exceeding greatness of his power is? Restoring a 57 Chevy needs wisdom and parts and power to accomplish it, and it's very difficult, but taking a bunch of self-centered people and making them a group of God-seeking, God-serving people is impossible, except for the power God manifest on the cross. Jesus embraced weakness and won. He stepped into evil and overcame it with good. Jesus died and was held in the grips of death from which no one escaped and rose again. So what weaknesses are you facing? What wrongs are you experiencing? What impossibilities? What is standing against you that you just can't escape from? Well, the power of God manifested on the cross and in the resurrection is not going to come in a show of fireworks. Paul said that this power is not external to you and me. It's not up in heaven waiting to be sent down from heaven. Send the power, send the power. Paul prays that you might know the exceeding greatness of his power in us. That word is in us who believe. God's power is resident in you. Power to restore those 4 relationships where we experience death. Your relationship with God. Are you walking in his delight? Your relationship with yourself. How often do you beat yourself up? Your relationship with your significant others. Do you even have to go down that road? We know that. And your relationship with your circumstances. Are you anxious about the future? Are you fretting about the past? Are you fearful about today? Are you living in the overflow of thanksgiving because you see all of life, the good, the bad, the ugly, as a gift? Well, the subtle, awesome power of God is in you if you have received Jesus, and it can be released to achieve his purposes. Power exists to accomplish something, and it's revealed in those who believe. And so next time I'm going to talk about that believing part, and that's how we release this power. So until next time.